Hello and welcome, everybody, to today's episode of the Angelic Footprints podcast. I have another special guest with me. Her name is Karrie O'Connor, and she is a spiritual confidence and life transformation coach who helps sensitive, spiritually aware people move beyond self doubt and step into their soul led purpose with clarity and confidence. After a life changing awakening that opened her spiritual and healing abilities, Karrie now guides light workers to trust their gifts, break free from limitations, and create more fulfilling, abundant lives. She blends intuitive insight with powerful mindset and energy based methods to bring grounded, lasting transformation. I know you'll all be excited to hear what Karrie has to share with us. Karrie, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, hello, and thank you so much for having me today. You did a great introduction, but that was a lot of words. So let me just break it down a little bit. So, about me personally, I'm from the United States originally, but I've lived overseas now for 30 years. And in fact, in the UK, I've lived for 25 years. But for some reason, I seem to have retained this accent. I worked in the corporate world for 25 of those years as well. But I had some big life changes that happened for me that moved me towards the spiritual side of things, which I'm happy to share as we go along. I am a life transformation coach and a spiritual confidence coach. And basically what that means is I help people who have a spiritual calling or even an ability from people who are just kind of exploring this and aware of something or a sense or a knowing or something they might hear to people who are advanced healers but feel like something's holding them back. Feel like they're afraid of sharing what they're able to do and capable of to share it really more powerfully with the world. For some, it's about really, I call it coming out publicly and sharing with the world that they have this ability or thing that they can do that is connected to the spirits, connected to the divine. And for others who are on that path for or have been on that path for quite some time, it might be just about elevating their abilities or making them more powerful because the more confident we are, the more we trust, the more we're able to share. I live in London. I have two children, aged 12 and 10, and I have a husband who's my soulmate. We've been married now for just over 13 years. So that is me in a nutshell.
Karrie, thank you for sharing your story. What a great story. And like me, having that corporate background and moving into the spiritual realm, it's something that's very familiar to me. And it is all about being authentic, isn't it? As we move into this space and really recognizing and identifying who we are and letting other people know about that. Because, hey, if it's happened to you and me, there's going to be other people out there who are also questioning, well, this is no longer working for me. So they're going to be looking for
Yeah.
doorways. So thank you. And as we talk, our listeners, if you are interested in connecting with Karrie, please do that and see how she can help you. We're going to have more details on that a little bit later. Karrie, you had an angelic experience. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that? And I know that you've had more than one, so more than one is good as well.
Yeah. Just before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit. It kind of connects, the story connects. You were talking about authenticity.
Mm.
And when I was working in the corporate world, I didn't realize that I wasn't authentically being myself because I had followed a path that a lot of people were marching down that looked like the usual path that everyone follows. And I should just fall into this world and it should be really comfortable and I should enjoy myself and make lots of money and everything will be great. But I didn't realize that all this resistance that I felt, and eventually which led to my burnout in my career, was because of the fact that I wasn't actually authentically being me. And at the time, I didn't even know who my authentic self was. And I wasn't in tune enough with my body and my spiritual connection to really realize that there was such strong resistance within me to what I was actually doing. And I'd hear around me things like, "Oh, I'm so glad it's Friday, it's the weekend," you know? "Oh, I can't wait to go on holiday and forget about this. I just wanna chuck my laptop out the window." And you kind of think, "Well, it's a normal thing. Everyone feels this way, so I'm just gonna crack on with it because everybody feels this way." But for me, that feeling became so strong, my body started to rebel. So at the end of my career, I was getting really burnt out and I was having lots and lots of physical symptoms. And one of them was that I was waking up in the middle of the night. Well, it was around 4 a.m. in a panic. Like I'd be pouring sweat and like literally panicked and full of anxiety and unable to fall back to sleep and all of these things. And one night when this happened, I woke up to a hand on my back. Now, as a little background story, I had, in my first pregnancy, I was pregnant with twins, and one of our twin babies was very ill. It wasn't developing normal, and we were told normally, and we were told that if we carried on with that fetus, that it was very likely to miscarry our other child. Now, we were actually blessed with the fact that they were in separate sex, but we did have to make this really agonizing decision to end that baby's life, and it was a little girl, we found out. And I did a lot of grieving, and it took me many years to move past that. But what happened that night was I woke up to this hand on my back, and I knew it was a little girl. And I had had a daughter by this point, 2 years later. Interestingly, she was born on the exact same day as her brother, who had lost his twin. And, I turned over and there was no one there. And I knew in that moment it was my little girl that we'd lost. And she'd come back to me to say, "It's okay. I've got your back. You're gonna be all right." And within a couple of days, I went into work and I was told my role was being made redundant. And my first reaction was relief, excitement. I thought, "Okay, there's a reason this is happening for me." So I decided that I wasn't gonna go back to another corporate role. I could have easily moved on to the next company, the next job, and I thought, "No, this is a path. I've been chosen to go down this path." So I changed careers. I became a coach. I carried on that path for a couple of years. But again, I started feeling burnt out again. All the social media and the pressure to try and find clients and everything. And the niche that I decided on was helping people change their careers, overcome burnout. Still, I had one foot in that corporate world. And my body was resisting. It was resisting it like, no, 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 you're not meant to be in this world anymore. So I took some time out. And as part of that process, um, I had a channeling from a friend of mine. She did some light language on me, and suddenly I started seeing things in the world differently. I started feeling differently. I could literally feel my heart opening. Um, and I kind of relaxed more into what I was doing and realized I just needed to follow the path that was unfolding in front of me, even though I didn't know what it was. And around the turn of the year, which was last year, interestingly, I felt this burning need to write a book. And I had wanted to write a book many times. And I thought my book was about self confidence because as a coach, that's what I help people with most of the time. Or really, it's the foundation of everything. It's helping people with their self confidence and getting rid of these fears and beliefs that are clouding our head and allowing us to really be our authentic self. And I went into this book writers boot camp, which was for spiritual authors. And I was surrounded by these like psychics and mediums and angel crystal readers and, all these amazing people, these shamans. And I'd always been really fascinated by spirituality. And they were talking about, oh, I'm not sure if I'm meant to write this book or is somebody going to be interested in what I have to say? And oh my God, what is my family going to think? And I thought, this book's for them. I need to write this book for these amazing people so they could share their gifts with the world. We need more of these gifts in the world. They're so helpful. And I heard this voice and it said, interview 100 people. And I thought, okay, I'm going to interview 100 people. So I started interviewing people. But what I didn't realize was that by interviewing these really high vibration individuals, some of them were like off the charts with what they were capable of doing from a spiritual, capability perspective, that I would activate my own awakening. And I started seeing um, visions. I started waking up having lucid dreams. I started feeling things around me. I started getting visited by the friends and relatives of people who had passed. And I thought I was losing my mind. I actually thought I was going crazy. I was making it all up. So I got some help from a spiritual mentor. And one of the things she did with me at the very beginning was all about cleansing. And she was able to channel my angel of protection and healing. And for me, that appeared as Archangel Michael. And he still is with me now. So at the very beginning, I would go up to the spirit world, and everyone sees it differently.
They do.
But when I would go up and I would go to this, it was almost like this clouded room, and I would almost lie on this like slab of marble, and Archangel Michael would just waft me with his feathers to just clear away all the negative energy, all the pressure I'd been carrying, all the need to be and act in a certain way. Just let it go. There was lots of tears. I couldn't explain it either because it wasn't like, I also do a lot of techniques that have to do with neuroscience, rewiring your mindset. And I do believe it is important to keep one foot in the world and one foot in spirituality. We need both for our healing and just to feel part of this world. But it wasn't like that mindset thing. It was just something was happening to me and I wasn't controlling it, and I could feel just layers and layers lifting for me. Um, but now, I work with Archangel Michael now regularly, and in fact, interestingly, just the other day, I was feeling weighted down. It's like the start of the year, and I've got so much to do, and I have so much I want to achieve, and I want to get going. And it was like, oh, I've got, I don't have the time. And I just asked Archangel Michael to help me, and I felt this sensation like he literally just put his wings on me to carry me forward. And that just gave me such a sense of relief. It's like, you don't have to be in control. Just let us lead the way. The other ways that angels help me in my life are I do get a lot of numbers. I get a lot of angel numbers, and my kids now as well. They'll be like looking at the clock and, oh, it's 16:16. Oh, it's 11:11. Oh, it's 17:17. And I get it all day long, like literally all day long. And in fact, even today, I love listening to like tarot readings on YouTube. And I was listening to one and it said the number 444 is very prominent for you. And I thought, that's interesting. I haven't seen 444. And then the next video came up and I was listening to it and it said something about 444. And I was like, oh my God, this is too good to be true. I also have, I also manifest like the feathers as well. I find a lot of white feathers. And in fact, on Sunday at my daughter's football match, the tiniest white feather was sort of floating around my head. It was almost like a snowflake. And I was like, it's snowing. What is that? It just kept falling in my eyesight. I was like, what is that? And then it landed on my friend's hat. And then I was like, oh, that's a white feather. And I picked it up and I couldn't get it off my glove. It just wouldn't leave. And interestingly, what happened within the conversation I was then having with one of the mums who I just met, we ended up opening this really expansive conversation about spirituality. And she became incredibly interested in what I do. And she's like, this is actually one of my intentions for 2026. I can't believe I've met you. And it was almost like that feather came along to say, I'm with you right now. You're safe. You're safe to open up. You're safe to be your authentic self. You're safe to show yourself. So I find that angels are with me. Particularly for me, it's Archangel Michael. But I feel like, and I listen a lot to Kyle Gray, you're probably familiar with as well, and he talks a lot about angels. And he talks a lot about the fact that angels are a spirit or source energy, and that we need to kind of, as humans, we turn them into form, we give them names, these kinds of things to help us make sense of them because we do have one foot in reality as much as one foot in source. But what we decide to call it, what it looks like, it doesn't really matter. It's like that feeling that you get from it. What I find also is really, really important is to say thank you. because there's so many times I work with clients and they're like, "Oh, this thing happened." And I say, "Did you say thank you?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't think to say thank you." I'm like, they need encouragement to keep doing it, to keep going, you know? If you're like, "Oh, that's weird. That's crazy." I keep saying, "Don't say it's weird. Say it's interesting.
It
Say
is.
it's fun." You know? Be thankful. It's that gratitude that opens your heart, that encourages you to receive more and more.
Karrie.
So, that is how angels work in my life.
Yeah, wow. Karrie, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I'm sure there's a few of you listeners and viewers who can relate to many aspects of Karrie's story, whether it's that feeling of being out of alignment with your work or even wanting to bring that spiritual aspect into your lives. Thank you for that really enlightened story. It's absolutely so empowering, and I love the feather. I have that happen to me all of the time. It's just that beautiful feeling that you just know my angels want me to know right now that they're here.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just
I get that I get that with the numbers because oftentimes, the number will happen and I'll think, "What was I just thinking?" And quite
exactly.
often it's a doubt or a fear or a worry, or it's something that I wanna manifest, you know? And it's either saying to me, "Just trust, it's gonna be alright," or "It's gonna happen," you know? I
Yeah.
really a lot of it's around trust. It's around that building that trust.
For me, a lot of it is you're doing exactly what you're meant to do or
Yeah,
you're on track there. And I get it.
yeah.
It's different for everybody. It doesn't matter what it is for you as long as you know what that meaning is and how you
Mm.
attribute that to your life and how you move forward. That's the key. You've got your message. So I just want to touch on you've spoken so much about angels. How would you say that transition to working with the spiritual realm, how has that influenced your life?
Massively. So, I told you about the fact that I came out. So, I'm quite active on LinkedIn because, of course, my career, it was all in the corporate world, and I have over 3,000 followers on LinkedIn. And saying to the LinkedIn world, "Okay, this is what I do now, and I'm a spiritual person, and I can actually communicate with the spiritual world. Oh, and by the way, so can everyone, if you put your effort into it and you're open to it." But, it's made me more comfortable with who I am, more comfortable than ever. I mean, I was bullied as a kid. I had red hair. I was quite overweight. Um, and I saw things as a child. I had imaginary friends. I think they were my first spirit guides. I didn't realize it at the time. So I carried that insecurity with me for a really long time. And I think I've got to the place now where I'm just way more confident in who I am, what I have to offer, what makes me unique, what makes me different is actually my superpower. I used to think for a long time what made me different made me weird, made me stand out, made people not like me. Now I'm realizing if they don't like me, then they're not my people. And what I'm finding is that I'm attracting more of the like-minded souls who remind me that you're exactly who you're meant to be, and we like that about you, you know? Um, it's made me closer to my husband. I didn't know that was actually possible, but, he's been so incredibly supportive. I'm really, really fortunate, and he's curious, and, if I wake up and say, "Oh, I spoke to" I didn't tell him this yet, but I will. I spoke to one of our relatives who's passed. She came to me this morning in meditation. He'd be like, "All right, what does she have to say?" And that just gives me more trust. So it's really deepened my relationship with my husband. And I think it's also, I mean, it's still a journey, right? We're never finished with this journey and it just continues to unfold. But I find that it's helping me trust more and more in my abilities. I remember when after working with my coach and my mentor, she invited me to a psychic circle. And I said, "I don't think I'm a psychic." And she's like, "Just come along." And within the first call, it was like, oh my God, I actually am psychic. Like, I didn't know I could do that, you know? So, but I had to learn to trust. And I had to learn to believe in what I was seeing, what I was hearing, what I was sensing, and what's coming through. So it's helped me to trust more in my spiritual connection, my spiritual abilities. And as a result, it helps me to help and heal others more powerfully as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That trust is such an important component of the work that we do. A lot of people might say, oh, well, why do you believe in angels or how can you believe in angels? Well, it is about trust, isn't it? And if we take that to religion, not that I'm a big proponent of traditional religion, well, traditional religion is based on trust as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is an important component of this work. And I loved how you talked about having it on your LinkedIn. I have it on my LinkedIn too. And I figure, well, this, what we do for you as well as for me, it is a part of us. And why shouldn't we share it? And as you say, if people aren't in alignment with that, then they're naturally going to fall into another area. They're probably going to move away from you, whereas other people who really do connect to your message will come in. So it goes both ways, doesn't it? Karrie,
Absolutely.
you have sorry, I'm going to say that again. Sorry about that. Hold on. Karrie, do you have any specials or offers that you would like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have something called the quantum cord clearing ritual. And it's all about cleansing and protecting your energy. So, one of the things that led to my burnout, I firmly believe, is the fact that I was or am an incredibly sensitive person, not necessarily from an emotional perspective, but more from a sensing perspective. And those of us who are extrasensory, in either in our abilities or just in how we take in energy from other people, need to be really careful about making sure that our energy is protected and regularly cleansed. And the reason we need to do this is because it can lead to physical symptoms, it can lead to mental health issues. It can just make you physically exhausted. It's, you can, a way to think about it is if you go into a meeting with a certain person, or you have a coffee with someone, or if you have a friend that you know that every time you're around them, you're going to end up exhausted, like drained. That's an example of when your energy isn't protected,
Yeah.
and you need to take some time to cleanse your energy from theirs in order for you to be operating at your best. That will help you feel like you have one foot firmly in this earth and you're connected and you're firing on all cylinders, and you have that connection to spirit, which enables you to get those messages that you want to receive, or that sensing and that knowing. So they can sign up on my website. I originally created it as a PDF, and I'm like, no, it's so much more than a PDF. So I've created it's like a learning platform. It's a mini learning platform, which teaches you about energy, why you need to protect your energy, how it works. And then there's a longer meditation, which is about 20 minutes, which you can do once a day. And then there's a short one you can do in about 5 minutes or less, which is just like quickly cleansing and clearing. So you leave a meeting, you just take a couple minutes. It doesn't even need to take five, if I'm honest, but you just take a couple minutes, clear it away, move on with your day. And I honestly tell you, it makes a humongous difference to the way you show up in the world. I know, I'm religious about doing it. Religious isn't the right word, but I'm, dedicated to doing it regularly. But even I get caught out. Like I went shopping at the start of the year, and I came back, after, the throngs of people running into the sales and doing their returns, and my head was just pounding. I was so, so drained of energy, and I had to take extra time just to cleanse, 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 and protect. I mean, it did take me like nearly a day, but I'm very, very sensitive to that. My coach is always telling me, you need to close your third eye. I'm like, I am, but it keeps popping open. So, we're still learning, but I do find it's really, I'm getting loads of really positive feedback from people. So I highly recommend checking that out. And my name, by the way, which I know you'll have in your notes, but it's spelled Karrie. So it's KarrieO'ConnorCoaching.com.
Fabulous. Well, I will definitely have all of that content, all of your socials, all of your website information on the podcast page for when the podcast is released so that any of you, our viewers and listeners, if you're interested in connecting with Karrie, and that sounds like an absolutely fabulous tool that everybody can use, because I, like you, I get drained of energy. I can't stand being in shopping centers too long. It's like, I'm done. I got to get out of here. Can't do any more. So I totally get that. And if you can get some benefit from that tool, then that would definitely help you in terms of managing the kind of energy that you've got around yourself. Karrie, that's absolutely amazing. Would you like to share with our viewers and listeners your socials so people can connect with you perhaps in a little bit of an informal way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, before I do that, I forgot to mention one thing, which is I'm writing a book called Healing the Hidden Healer, which is all about helping people who have spiritual calling or ability to share their gifts with the world. And on my website, you can also sign up to a free interview because I'm still conducting my 100 interviews. I have about 20 people left to go. So if this resonates with you in any way, it's totally anonymous, absolutely free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I genuinely want your input. You can sign up to that on my website as well. But as far as my socials are concerned, you can find me on LinkedIn at Karrie O'Connor. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Karrie O Coaching. And my website, of course, coaching.com.
Thank you, Karrie. So, if you, like I've said before, if you feel prompted to get in touch with Karrie, please do. There's bound to be something that she can help you with, whether it's moving from the corporate world into the spiritual world or any aspect of healing and transformation. Thank you again. In terms of today, before we finish up, are there any final thoughts that you would like to share with us?
Just checking in with spirit if he's got anything. I think that gratitude just keeps coming through. I think trying to find those moments every single day throughout your day for the gratitude makes such a difference, not just to how you feel in that moment, but it transforms what you receive and what you're able to give out. It deepens your connection with spirit. And it can also help you feel more present and more grounded in reality. So I would really encourage people to focus more, as much as possible, on having those moments of gratitude throughout your day, looking for those angel moments, saying thank you for the messages that you're receiving, and really, like you say, kind of transferring them into what they mean for you. So that would be my final saying.
Oh, Karrie, I love that. And it's a great reminder for all of us, especially when we're having a really tough day. There's always
Mhm.
something that we can tune into that we are so blessed to have in our life, whether it's the family that we have, whether it's the pets that we have, even just the simple thing can just shift that energy totally. Karrie, it's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. And to all our listeners and viewers, it's great to have you here once again. If you enjoyed the show, please share information about the show with 3 people who you know could benefit from this particular podcast. And maybe even if you really enjoyed it, please also consider leaving a 5-star review on the platform where you are listening. Because, hey, that's how we get more reach. That's how we get to help more people. So, thank you in advance. In the meantime, blessings, and may your life be filled with hope and inspiration.